I'm going to call this meeting of the Westminster Select Board to order. Any attendees from the public, please mute your mic until you wish to speak. And then if you want to speak or make a comment, then unmute your mic and state your name and ask to be identified, please. All right. Adjustments to the agenda.
I have nothing.
Okay. Communications and public comments. Nope, guess not.
Do I accept the minutes or not?
Oh, thank you. Missed that. That must be you, Sheldon, over there on the side.
It was.
Acceptance of the minutes of the meeting of November 10th.
I move we accept the minutes as printed.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to accept the minutes of the meeting of November 18th. Any discussion?
November 10th. November 10th.
Yep, you're right. I need more light. November 10th. All in favor, say aye.
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 Accepted. Unfinished business. School withdrawal from consolidation. Adopt the warning for the town meeting. We do have the warning, the proposed warning here, and as well as we'll have to have a motion by the select board to hold an Australian ballot. So let me read the article. There's Article 1 and Article 2, am I correct? Yes. Final wording of the articles. Article 1, shall the voters of Westminster approve the withdrawal of the town of Westminster from the Windham Northeast Union Elementary School District? Article 2, in the event Article 1 is approved, shall the voters of Westminster authorize and instruct the Westminster Select Board to undertake all steps necessary to do the following. Form a Westminster Town School District to be responsible for the operation of schools and educational programs for Westminster students. Obtain the return to the Westminster School District, Town School District of all school buildings and property owned by the Town School District prior to the forced merger. 3, appoint 5 town residents to an interim town school district board to effect the transition and return of the operation of schools and educational programs to the town school district, and schedule a town election at the next annual town meeting of 2021 to elect 5 town residents to the town school district board with staggered terms as existed prior to the forced merger. So those are the 2 articles that will be in the meeting if we approve them. And I guess should I read the Australian ballot wording? I guess I will. The select board must vote by approval of a majority of its total membership at a duly warned meeting to adopt the Australian ballot system of voting. Okay, so then how would this work? We would have we would move to accept the 2 articles as well as voting on them by Australian ballot in one motion. Does that make sense?
It would be cleaner if you did 2, but 1 is fine.
Okay, we can do 2. That's fine.
Okay, I'll move to accept the article that
Article 1.
Article 1, yeah,
And Article 2 together.
and Article 2 together, yeah.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all right, move.
Second it.
I think that was
Correct.
great.
Thank you.
Do we have any discussion about that?
Can we go over again how we actually going to do this? We're actually going to, this is going to be a mail-in. We're going to mail it out like the last national elections. Because
go ahead, sorry.
well, because the last town meeting we had, we were outside. So obviously we're not going to have that. We're not going to have anything. So I assume that we're going to actually mail all these out, Russ, and then it's basically the same way we just did the national elections.
I would say you're correct.
we
So
talked
you
about,
can vote in person if you wanted to, but you can also do it through absentee.
and would we be mailing a ballot to every registered voter in the town, or only if they ask for one?
No, you'd have to send them to every one of them.
Mhm. Okay. All right, so is there any more discussion on the first two articles about the withdrawal of the town from the school district and the ensuing, what we have to do after that? And then we'll handle the Australian ballot in another motion. No discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor of the two articles, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? No one? Okay, that's passes unanimously. So the next motion should be, to vote on these two articles through the Australian ballot method system of voting.
So moved.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait. Can you unmute and then? Who is this?
Sure. Hi, this is David Major.
Oh, that's you, David. Okay, good.
Yeah, hi.
Got your mask on. Yeah. Go ahead.
And I would just say that you might want to include a date in this motion,
For the meeting.
a date for the Australian ballot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Legally, when would that be, Russ, roughly?
Can't be roughly, it has to be,
Well,
So today's the
exactly.
25th.
Yeah.
So December 25th would be, if we did it today, we're not going to do it until Monday. So that makes it December 30th to January 9th.
Mhm.
So it's somewhere between there.
Does anybody know what day of the week that would be? January 9th? Anybody have a?
January 9th is Saturday.
Wouldn't we always put them on Tuesday just because people are so used to it? So what's the first Tuesday? What would be the next Tuesday there?
January 5th.
That makes sense? We have it on a Tuesday?
And that gives us enough time for the warning if it's January 5th?
I'm not positive. We have not gotten word of how this is all going to take place, whether it's going to be a hand count or if it's going to be
machine.
it's going to be the machine. How did the BCA meeting go?
The BCA meeting went fine.
What was the results of the BCA meeting?
What does that
Are you
have
going
to
to do a
with?
hand
Yeah,
count
what
or are
is
you going to
it?
do a machine?
I don't think we talked about it.
I wasn't there, so that was not on the agenda? Okay.
I don't recall that it was on the agenda. And David, how do we organize this with Athens and, the
Yeah,
other,
in Grafton.
and Grafton, right?
Yeah. I think you need to have a vote between 30 and 40 days from now. Then Athens and Grafton, as soon as they care to after that, but I think not more than 30 days after that or something, need to have a vote to confirm Westminster's withdrawal. Neither of them want to withdraw separately because they want to stay together to
Okay,
run the Athgraf school in Grafton. So they just want to confirm that Westminster is withdrawing.
okay, that's a different,
And-
it's changed, yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
and so that would happen sometime after January 5.
okay. So we don't have to coordinate with them on this?
No, it's up to them. I at their next select board meetings, I'm going to talk with them about the fact that Westminster has just done this, let them know what the dates are, and then they can plan from there.
Okay,
So it seems like January 5th is the best date within the 30 to 40. Wait.
It doesn't have to be between there. We just have to warn it between there. So you can't have it before it. So your 5th is good. January 5th is good,
Right.
but it doesn't have to be that specific date, but wherever you're gonna go with this.
I think we do want to
Who
set. a-
seconded the motion to the Australian ballot?
Was it me?
No, I
Toby?
did. Craig Allen did.
No,
Okay.
Craig, you made the motion.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. Nobody did. I didn't hear anybody second it. Yeah,
I didn't either.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I made the motion, so somebody else has to second it, right?
No, I made the motion. All I
You
said
made,
was,
then I'll second it, okay.
all I said was so moved what Susan said. Sue
Okay,
read it
I
and I said so
second it.
moved.
Okay. It's been moved, see if I'm right here. It's been moved and seconded to hold a vote by Australian ballot on or about January 5th on the 2 articles to withdraw from the Windham Elementary School District. All right. And it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
Yep, we do. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So if we post on the 30th, it's not going to make the paper until the 2nd of December. So the 5th is still okay. Sorry. Just
Okay.
just making sure my dates are correct.
Okay, so we're
Yep.
still go.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. More discussion? All in favor? Aye. Oh,
Aye.
wait. David has something to say. Yes?
Susan, I just wonder whether in this motion you want to direct the town on whether whether this would be an in-person vote, a mail-in vote. Should that be in this motion at all? Russ, do you know?
I think in the article, David, we would be a lot more specific about details. But I don't think the motion needs to be only but that the select board is authorizing an Australian ballot vote on January 5th.
Okay. And leaving it up to you to make the decision about whether there's a mailing or whether there's a whatever it is.
Right. It's going to be up to the BCA, and I assume they have a decision on that, but I'm not hearing that.
Okay.
I mean, there's a time element here as far as printing the ballots and getting them mailed out.
That's correct.
An issue, I would think.
Yeah. The decision should be made fairly soon.
Okay. And that's the BCA that will have to decide that. Okay. All right. Any more discussion, questions? We're ready to vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. So we will vote by Australian ballot and decide pretty quickly how we're going to do that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you all.
Oh, thank you, David, for everything. We appreciate it. Draft of the new personnel policy.
We're still working on it.
Okay,
We'll get it
thank
done
you.
before Christmas. That's our Christmas present, okay?
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Great. Okay, let's move on to the draft budget, page 8, and the unfinished items. Okay. Take it away, Russ.
On page 5, your first unfinished item is the sheriff department. In your packet, you have the letter. We never formalize that. The contract is not going up from last year if we remain with the same amount of hours.
Has there been a question about whether those hours are being conformed with that we did schedule?
We are seeing a little bit of a hiccup in the two towns conforming to what we had agreed to. It's not the towns that are not conforming, but it's the two officers offsetting their hours. So they're working on that. It's a work in progress. Again, they're working on it. That's all I can tell you.
Well, are we, I mean, you have the contacts with them. Are we satisfied with what we're getting?
Right now, no, not completely, but
Well, I'm glad they're not raising the amount that they're going to ask for.
that's correct. But again, we're seeing changes daily about how and the procedures of what they agreed to. Putney
Hey,
is the
Russ.
same. I've talked to Karen Ashley, and she is also in the same boat as she's recommending to stay with it for one more year to work out the bugs, because it is a good system if it works properly. And right now we're still in that transitional phase where they're not there yet, but they're getting there.
Could you tell me what I've made copies of the budget, but there are no numbers on my copies.
Page 5.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
know
very
it's page 5, but I don't know what's at the top of page 5. What
Says
is it?
alarm. Go ahead.
What
Alarm.
does it begin with?
The sheriff department is the line item that you're looking for.
Yeah,
It should be in
Top.
green.
in green,
The top of the page says alarm system.
alarm system.
That's the top line of that
Okay,
page.
okay, let me look.
Hey, Russ, I see them out a lot lately. Are they trying to catch up on hours?
They're trying to actually do what they're supposed to be doing with our hours. So yes, this is what we should be expecting, and this is what we are paying for, is to see more time and more energy with more visual contact with them.
Now, are they reporting to you? They used to come and report, kind of give you an update that they'll be in town for a while, or how long do you go before you even hear from them?
I hear from someone lately about once every 2 weeks. Before that, it was about once a month. So that was one of the things that they're working on.
Okay. I'm for trying it one more year.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so as you said, it's a new system. It should work. So I'm, especially if the cost is the same.
Well, I'm more
Willing.
comfortable. We were in a contract before where we were guaranteed just total hours. Now we're getting, Russ, if I'm right, they're really billing us by the hour. So they got to come up with the hours.
They're billing us by the month, but it is based on hours, yes.
Okay, I'm comfortable with.
Okay. Any more discussion on the sheriff? No.
Okay, the next item is on the same page at the very, very bottom, last line. You asked about culverts, drainage, and fabric. Chuck was unable to come tonight, but he gave me in your packet information on the culverts that we're proposing. It is tentative. because we all know about emergencies. But we're talking about Davidson Hill Road has a 24-inch that has failed. Westminster West Road has a culvert that is rotted and it's steel just south of Rummerell Hill. Cross Road has roughly 30 feet of 36-inch that is a stone culvert that is collapsing that we know we need to address this year. Quarry Road has a 36-inch, about 45 feet long. It has a hole in the top and we've patched it twice. Morsebrook Road has a second culvert, 18-inch, again, steel with a hole in it. Newcomb Road has two culverts, one 40 feet and one 30 feet, both 18-inch that are were poorly installed and now are crushed in the middle. So those both have to be replaced. And that price for those culverts is about $6,000. Our big cost that we're proposing is Windmill Hill Road South. We have a 12-foot wide by 6-foot squashed culvert, 40 feet long, that we're trying to get a grant for the majority of it, but it will still cost us somewhere in the vicinity of $20,000 to $25,000, our portion, just for the culvert itself. And then the machine time would be, of course, not in that line item. So, so we are looking at about $31,000 to $36,000, depending on the actual grant amount that we get for that line item. As you can see, we are estimating about $30,000 for that line for next year. So we should be in pretty good shape with the 30,000, and but we're willing to take that gamble of the 30,000 with what's in stock and with what we've got in this grant.
Can I just ask what the 6,000 was you just talked about?
Is that, Millie, is that you?
Yeah,
Millie
All
Berry?
of those culverts that I just named on the
Yeah.
different roads is the cost of the culverts.
it's just the cost of the colors. Okay.
Just the
Sorry.
cost of the culverts.
Sorry, I didn't identify myself.
Any questions about the failing culverts? Okay,
All right, moving on. We're to page 7, contracted services for cemetery. The top of the page, the item is chipper.
Okay.
And in your packet, you received a letter from Vermont Hillside explaining what happened last year. Requested a lot more communication from myself to them when I have an issue. They did go through some help last year and bit off a little bit more work than they anticipated. So they are guaranteeing that they'll do a much better job, and that at any point that we are seeing that we're not getting the services that they're putting forth, that we can terminate the contract with a 30-day notice, which I will be drafting the contract if you guys choose to go with them again. And the wording will be such that at any point, either themselves or ourselves can terminate the contract within 30 days if things are not going exactly.
I thought the letter that they wrote was really, really sensitive and caring about making sure the job was good. So I think we should.
I
go
totally
with that.
agree.
Yeah.
Hey, Russ, why is, and I echo that. I was really impressed that they would at least, stand up for it. Why do they keep questioning the dollar amount like they say it's less than what they bid? I don't have the bid in front of me. I'm sorry.
What they do is it's by the mowing. And I think that's half the problem is we have estimated how many mowings we need. And when they get busy, we don't get that service that we need. So they don't charge us for it. It's not a contract as in a monthly automatic payment. It's by the mowings and it's by their work that they complete. So yes, you're exactly right. They don't meet their contracted price because they're not doing the contracted requested work. That's where we have to
So what you
have to get after them.
Right. And then, so what you showed last time on the two bids was you were taking what you thought were the same amount of hours that each were doing.
I was making apples for apples. You're exactly right.
Right. Okay. I'm comfortable personally then going with them. One is they were a little lower, but this letter really, really impressed me that they were willing to stay and want to fix our relationship. So I'm for going and rewarding them the contract. And I'm comfortable that even as the 3-year, they're right. We could get out of it after a year. So whatever way you want to write it up, but.
Do we have to vote on that contract, Russ?
I would say you should vote on this one because it was a contract and
It was a bid, so normally you do.
yeah, right. It's a bid, and so I feel that yeah.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we give the contract out to Vermont Hillside. I don't have the dollar amount for the.
Seconded.
Okay.
Kevin, was that Kevin? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's going to be about $14,100.
So in my bid, we'll say not to exceed that dollar amount. How's that?
And 900, did you say?
No,
$14,100.
Okay. Is there a second on that also?
Kevin.
Yes.
Yes, okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the contract with Hillside, is that
Vermont
correct.
Hillside.
Vermont Hillside for the next year for not more than $14,100. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's approved. Thank you. Okay, so that would be, in this proposed budget is 14,900, but that'll be changed to,
I will change it to 14,100.
okay.
Page 8. It is the last page. About 2 meetings ago, I gave you the proposal that Ruggiero gave us, which was part of his contract, was an extension of 1 year. And the prices that he gave us are very compatible with the industry right now. I know from Windham Solid Waste Management that their trash tipping fee is $120 per ton, where Ruggiero is much cheaper. I'm not going to publicize the fees because if we are going to put this out to bid, it's not fair for them to for everybody to know their bid. Recycling tipping fees, again, at Windham Solid Waste Management, it's up to 150, but on an average, it's about $125 a ton. And again, with Ruggiero's extension, it's much lower than that.
Is that disposing of waste? Is that where that comes under?
Trash
Recycling.
tipping fee is getting rid of trash. Recycling tipping fee is, of course, getting rid of recycling, which used to be lucrative, and now it's not.
Right.
There's
I'm just-
only two products that actually bring revenue to them, and it's still cardboard and certain types of glass.
Mhm.
The rest is considered chargeable.
I'm just looking at the budget sheet and wondering, it says collecting waste and disposing of waste. So disposing of waste, that would be, the recycling would come under that.
That's correct. You've got to look at your budget. I tried to mimic what's on our, so I'm not talking two different languages to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is up from what we were last year. You can see that there's, the proposals are a little bit more.
Mhm.
Hey, Russ, this is not really a bid. This is really a budget number to put in because we get to July and we didn't move to renew the bid with him, right? How does that work?
This is an extension, just as it says right on his proposal that you should have in front of you, July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. And that's what we're talking about for a budget here. So this is an extension of his contract that was in his contract to give us. So we can accept this and put this in our budget, or we can say, no, we're going to put it out to bid. If we put it out to bid, we got to hustle, but we can do that.
But given the market, you think this is a reasonable?
I do. I'm again, a lot of conversations, a lot of meetings at Windham Solid Waste, and Triple T does most of the Brattleboro, Marlboro, Vernon area, and their for them is much higher. So we're seeing that we have still a very conscientious price from Ruggiero.
He's given us good service, so I don't have a problem with that. And the problem right now is honestly, because I deal with all of them, I don't know if anybody else would want us right now because they're all so busy. You know what I'm saying? So it does seem reasonable to me.
It's very possible.
I'm okay with it, to continuing the contract.
I am
Susan,
as well.
Mhm.
when you get a minute, Nate Stoddard.
Go ahead, Nate.
I understand. So the 3-year contract that we signed ends June 30, 2021, correct?
June 30th, yes, you're correct.
Why would we not be entertaining a bid process? Why are we just automatically going to jump on this renewal?
Somebody has to undo their,
Hello, please leave a message after the tone.
That's me. Mhm.
I mean, we knew the contract was coming up to end 2 years ago. I mean, we could have been preparing for new bids and stuff to make sure we are paying an appropriate fee. We're just gonna sign the extent, what happens at the end of the year? Are we just gonna do another extension and another extension and we never ever
That's-
check the balance?
Nate, that's what I was questioning. If the contract starts in July, all we're working on is budget number. As long as we put enough dollar in it, we still have time to decide where we go. I didn't think we were going to make a motion tonight to actually sign the contract.
This is just an option that's been given to you from Ruggiero. That's all it is. So you can accept it, or we can put it out to bid.
And you were talking about having to do that right away. So what is the timeline for that kind of a bid? Someone needs
The
to-
timeline is before July, but right now we need to put budget numbers in.
Mhm.
Susan, you got Sheldon asking questions.
Oh,
Three
go ahead, Sheldon.
3 years ago, when we did this contract, we put it out to bid. We had Triple T, Casella, and Ruggiero. There was literally thousands of dollars difference between Ruggiero, Casella, and Triple T at that time. I don't think things have changed that much. I'm pretty comfortable with going to Ruggiero's
Mhm.
extension at this point.
Mhm. And what would be the downside to just bidding it out again? We think that it would come up, might come up with a higher bid, or would just.
There's no downside.
Mhm.
There is, you have in front of you his proposal. We know that that's going to be his proposal. We plug those numbers in and you can put it out to bid.
Mhm.
You know, going back with our history with him, he actually came in during the 3 years and asked for an increase because the price of recycling was going up and we granted it. So it's not just a solid bid. We seem like we work with him. And I guess I was trying to be reassured that if all of a sudden recycling becomes a real commodity of making money, that we're going to be guaranteed if the cost goes down, that we'd go down, because we actually gave him a raise when we didn't have to.
That has been in our contracts in the past, that we would receive a benefit if the industry picked up.
Right.
We would benefit if it goes up over $50 a ton, then we would have to negotiate with them. And that's exactly what we've done.
Is that in the current contract? Is that what you're saying? The current
That-
contract is in there?
That's correct.
Okay, so it looks where we're at. We want to decide if we want to keep that amount in there and then at some point decide if we're going to extend the contract or bid it out. And if we're going to decide that, we'll have to do it fairly soon. Do we want to mull this over for till another meeting about that?
Well, I
Yes.
think it's
I think
been very satisfactory.
Wait, one at a time. Toby?
Yeah,
Toby,
I think it's been very satisfactory. I think the price is right. I think they've been amazing, frankly.
Mhm. We have done a good job. Who else was trying to say something in there?
This is Kevin. I was just reiterating, I too thought they've done a very good job. They've been excellent. However, I mean, if members of the public think we should go through the formal bidding process, I don't think we should be flippant about it, and perhaps consider that and maybe table this because we're not in an immediate hurry, and think about it and then come back to it at the next meeting. That would be my offering, just so we can look at it and consider maybe putting it out to bid. I totally agree that that he has been timely. He's been accurate. He came in, as Craig said, last time. But I also want to consider and look a little bit more closely too at the recycling changes. I'm not exactly clear on that. Should recycling become again a part, something that begins to get velocity again on profit? I want to make sure that we're not cutting our nose off to spite our faces. Is that fair?
Sounds, yes.
I just think it's a good contract, but on the other hand, because we didn't go to bid, I would at least, before we said, let's go ahead and do it, at least get him to come in and address the select board, so that we'd have any questions, because this didn't go to bid, that we're being reassured that this is more of a marriage, that as things go up and things go down, we're going to work together on it.
Well said, Craig.
And then all we're looking for tonight is a budget number. So I feel comfortable if we turn around and just put that budget number, so we can move on, and we'll just ask them to come to the next meeting or something, and we can address, okay, where are we going? And not only that, where's the future look with our town? Now, I'd like to have a longer discussion on what he sees going on with our town too.
So noted. Good. Okay, so I think we're fine with that budget number for the moment, and,
So it's not what's in blue on your sheet. It is what I handed to you that looks like this document.
yes.
So please don't get confused. I, again, hate to read them all out to public if they're going to bid.
So the one in blue is a little bit higher than the one he's actually asking for.
The one in blue is less than what he's asking for. You need to look at your sheet. That's
I am looking at it.
FY22. At the very bottom is the total proposal. Your disposing of waste is, and recycling is where it really jumped.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, why can't you say that number? Isn't it 245?
244.
Well, I'm looking at the one in blue that you gave us, so I'm trying to say the one he's offering is a little bit less.
No, Craig, you're adding the district dues in there. We're talking the two blue numbers only.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I follow you. I get you.
Okay, yeah, all right. So we'll discuss that at the next meeting, and maybe Mr. Ruggiero will come in
We'll see if he can.
if he can.
Susan?
Yes,
Go
go ahead.
I'm by no means going against anything Toby has said or Kevin has said about this company's great service that they provide for us or not. I can't speak to it. I know my trash gets picked up every Monday and it goes away. So sure, I guess that's a great service. My point is the town has a purchasing policy. We didn't follow the purchasing policy for the dump truck, or we weren't going to until it was brought up. I'm only erring on the side of the caution that we continue to follow the town's purchasing policy. If doing the extension is in the best interest of the town, the board feels that it is, great. It just seems like we're not following purchasing policy any longer.
Thank you. We're not, if we don't bid it out, so, but I think that'll be a topic of discussion at the next meeting. And a decision, and hopefully we'll make a decision at that point.
So the next line item is district dues. The district has started to do some equipment purchases, and they're actually placing monies every year. And with the composting is actually showing a very modest but a profit. So they are able to hold our district dues to the same level as what we were last year. The district is moving in a very positive manner financially, which is great news. That's the line item waste assessment.
Yeah,
Everybody's with us?
yeah. The recycling storage, I'm on to the next one. I just have a quick question. The recycling storage facility, were those the roll-offs things?
They were at
So
that point, yes.
So we really don't need those in the
That's
necessarily.
why they're zero.
Yeah, no, we're not bringing them back. Okay, thank you. Okay.
So you're into two more appropriations with the Senior Center and Activities Commission. Those have not changed. Westminster West Library has not changed, but they do have a request. You received a letter from the Board of Trustees. Susan, you want to read that to them? At least the last paragraph?
Yes, hold on.
Or do you want me to?
I've got it. Right, this is from the Westminster West Library Board. And the letter talks about automating the library process, essentially, and joining the Catamount Library Network. It's a consortium of Vermont libraries. And essentially, at the end it says, currently the library receives an annual appropriation of $8,400 from the town, which covers only about 30% of our regular operating expenses. We make up the rest of our overhead through fundraising and the generosity of the community. We would like to request that the select board provide the library with funds to cover the addition of $7,000 in ongoing operating costs associated with automation so that we can upgrade and provide this amazing new service and new resources to our community. Whether this is an increase in the library's annual appropriation or a yearly review of funds, which I'm assuming by that I mean an article at town meeting, we would appreciate the chance to discuss the possibilities with the select board and advocate for this worthy cause. So this would be quite an increase, almost doubling of the money that the town gives to support the library for essentially modernizing the library system.
Well, I think we should have them present whatever it is they want to present.
Yeah, we're not going to decide this tonight, but anyway, that's sort of an FYI, and we can ask the board to come in or someone representative from the board to give us more details.
Susan, it's Billy. I'm not clear, are they asking for the $7,000 for 1 year to automate or every year from now on?
Well, if they say in the letter, it would be an ongoing additional expense.
Okay, thank you.
And they list them, the librarian would work more hours, additional courier costs, supply costs, et cetera. But they could give us more details in person, I'm hoping.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Firefighting, which is the forest, we carry $1,000 for miscellaneous tools needed for the forestry department. It's $1,000. It's been $1,000 for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Going down, you can see the greater promissory note is at 0. The next one is the county tax. That bounces fairly inconsistently. We are estimating it to be roughly a $26,000 this year because of the impact that COVID-19 has had on the county and the court system. That is an estimate, and it's the best case scenario for us to carry this money. No questions. Moving down to the equipment fund. I have just put that in there just for discussion. We are understanding that the $130,000 does not cover a purchase of the equipment like we've had, but we've covered it this year, but we have nothing to carry over for next year. And we probably at some point need to talk about increasing that amount. Talking with Chuck and Craig and myself, that the 145 would better suit our needs for a complete purchase and returning of a truck.
So this is my question before, is that we know every year what we need or want to replace. Not sure. Is that correct?
It's coming up, yes.
So we would know specifically what piece of equipment we need to replace and therefore about how much it would cost, roughly?
Yes. We have not yet met because of the holiday, etc. But yes, that's coming up very shortly.
Uh-huh. So you would be able to say in the budget, we need a such and such a truck. The estimated cost is
That's correct.
$145.
And they're waiting for me a little bit. I went and met with Chuck to see what trucks. I actually spent a little time with him we looked at, okay, this one's next year, this one's the following years, so that I could come back to give you a little more information. That I was a little confused with what truck he wants to trade in each year. So we were going over that. So once I get that all together, then the three of us would go over with the dollar amount.
So we would have a sort of specific amount.
That's correct. Yeah, because like next year there's a 6-wheeler, then there's a tandem. It's like, okay, which one are we getting once? And Chuck was we had some conversation about which one he should do next, and it made sense to stay on the same schedule after we discuss it. So I went and now what takes time is the appraisal of the used truck. That's what takes a little time. You have to look at it and see, okay, how much is this thing worth in trade? That's what does the dollar amount.
Thank you.
But don't
Hey,
you know?
Craig, this is Kevin.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, hi guys. So it's okay for when we do decide this or whatever it is you guys are looking to implement, that we do have Chuck there to specifically go over why we need it and why it would be timely. I mean, I understand you handle the finances to be able to explain that, but Chuck can be available to make sure that he also specifically explains why this would be timely and why we would need it at this time.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not just the needs, and what we look at is a lot of things. Is like the smaller trucks don't get as many mileage as the bigger ones, so that's what the long discussion was. Are they all going to stay on the same schedule if the truck isn't being driven as much as the other one is? And that's the one thing that I spent time with Chuck to look at all that. And now we can sit down. We need Russ's input and Chuck's input, and when we can come back with some numbers.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So we'll come back with a new price for you next meeting,
With some more details, that would be great.
more details.
Mhm.
Then the last one was the bridge fund. We again have some expenses coming up, but with the state's halt on all the projects for the most part, that we have gained some more time. So if we deem that we have a little surplus that we would throw at it, that would be one thing. But as for the budget, I think we should maintain the 15,000 for now.
Okay. Reasonable.
So down to the bottom is the probability study for the Savage Pit. It should be at 0 because that is.
Will you just go back for a second? The capital improvement fund, we don't have anything in that fund now, right? Because that was the town hall and that's spent out, or no? I mean, we're not putting anything into it this year.
That's not an expense that would come through this budget.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
So the probability for the Savage Pit is at 0 because there will be no more money spent on that.
Mhm.
Tax sales fees, we have nothing in the hopper that would necessitate that. Henwood Hill Road project, that one, I wasn't sure what else you folks are going to be looking for. At this point, it seems though that residents and our road crew are happy with what we've done, and that we don't need to do anything else for a while.
And if that's the case, what happens to that amount that was voted by the town?
We don't
37.
expend it. We tell them at town meeting that it was not necessary to spend that much money. And so the motion that they did for the 37.5 just is not going to be part of this budget. And we just explain what happened.
Right, and then that. Mhm. Okay,
It's earmarked for only that project, so we can't move it to anything else.
no, I understand that, so, but why would, if we're not going to think, if we don't think we're going to do anything more next year, why would, we would not necessarily want to leave it in the budget, right? Because then.
Absolutely not. That should be zero.
Yeah,
I'm with Russ. If that's what we're gonna do, it, we should take the 37.5 back out.
yeah. Well, that'll make things look better.
Susan,
Go ahead, Nate.
kind of the same with the remaining from the probability study. Where's the 5,500 going? Is that coming back to us?
That would be, the way I understand it, that would be in the surplus, and that would be my preference. We'll discuss it under revenue, but my preference is that and any other, I mean, we budget very prudently for a lot of little things just in case they happen, and we often don't spend that money and it ends up in the surplus. So I'm hoping that we'll be giving money back to the taxpayers to cover that, the rest of the money from the probability study and some other things.
Right, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself as to a final comment I wanted to leave with you folks tonight is that I believe Russ said a couple of meetings ago, we're looking at another $250,000 surplus this year. I think the number last year was close to $500,000. So we continually to have these massive surpluses. And they're because we're just throwing numbers on the wall like spaghetti and see what sticks. No, I just don't know. I don't know how we get away from constantly having all this extra money and us taxpayers just keep paying for it. What are we going to do with the $250,000 this year?
Well, that'll be a discussion that I think we'll have in the next couple of meetings. As I said, I just said it. I mean, part of it is, not all of it, I guess, but a lot of it is we budget for contingencies, and then often we don't spend that money, and it ends up
not budgeting. That's just guessing.
Well, no, it's like, will we need legal services for the listers? Maybe. You never know what's going to happen. So we put some money in there just in case they get sued or something.
Sure.
That's kind
fine.
of
those kinds of things are kind of unknown.
Yeah.
Your culverts are known. The example tonight was a good example.
Mm-hmm.
There's an X amount of dollars for what you want to do.
Right.
I'm going to go back to your building and maintenance fund. You're proposing $20,000. Your 4-year average prior was only $10,000. What have we spent year to date? Your budget for this year is 20. What have we spent year to date? Your budget for next year is 20. What is the 20 going to pay for? Or is that just some number thrown on the wall to see what sticks? What do we want to fix for building maintenances and how much is that going to cost? That's budgeting. Saying $20,000 as a contingency because we might want to fix a roof on a North Westminster town hall that nobody knew about is not budgeting.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You know, where's the money coming from to fix the North Westminster building? It's not been budgeted. Is that in that line item? What's the 20,000 going for? What are we taxpayers paying for?
Well, I just want to say, I understand what you're saying, and I'm very much agreeing in many ways, but, we have buildings and we can let them fall apart and they would be worthless, then nobody would ever even want them anymore, or we have to keep them maintained. And the roof on that building, it was a necessary repair. that it was really needed, and that's why we did it, because it is one of our buildings.
Mhm.
And if you let it go, you know what happens. It just goes.
Not arguing with that. But
Yeah.
what is the plan for the $20,000 in that line
Okay.
item?
Well, I agree with you. We
Wanting to
should know
use
what
that
that
money
is.
for?
This year was to point this roof. We have some extreme need to fix the slate on the town hall. We also have to repair some clapboards on the town hall. We're still hoping that the contractor will get to it, not the one that's doing the inside work, but a different one that he promised through the maintenance of his paint job. And we're also, eventually, we need to do another coat of paint on this building. So the 20,000 was earmarked for this past year. I'm hoping it still gets done, but with COVID-19, everybody has been, placed in a bad spot. And so our roofer backed out because of help. Couple people got sick, etc. And the painter is so far behind because he's been trying to do all the outside work throughout the summer so that he wasn't infecting anybody. And now he's in a jam.
That doesn't answer what your proposed $20,000 for fiscal year 2022 is going to cover. What are your estimates? What do you know you need to fix, and what do you know how much it's going to cost? Or is 20,000 just some number you've thrown against the wall? And that example isn't just for this line item. That example is throughout this budget. It's just numbers. There's no mathematical method to say, okay, I need to paint the building. The building is going to be X amount of money. I need to do a roof on the North Westminster building. It's going to be X amount of money. There's no math in this. It's just a number. And those numbers don't get expended, and we end up with $250,000 and $500,000 worth of surpluses every year that us taxpayers just keep paying for, that then the money is just a slush fund to be used without us knowing about it.
I don't think that's what happened last year. I think everybody voted on what the surplus, how the surplus was going to be expended. But, I understand what you're saying, Nate, but on the other hand, we're also budgeting for something that's happening a year from now. So who knows, especially in the area of maintenance, who knows, what roof is going to fall apart, or, what's going to be, I'm assuming that's what building maintenance is not only just, yes, we can see something needs to be painted, but yes, the, furnace is failing. I mean, I'm not an expert on this kind of thing, but that's sort of my guess, so.
And your theory makes sense, but your theory is the same as the trucks. Your truck expected life is 7 years. Craig has stated many, many times, we get the best trade-in if we don't keep those trucks for 7 years. So truck number XYZ is 6 years old. You're going to need to replace it next year. You know how much it's going to cost. You put that number in the budget. You got a 30-year-old furnace you're buying time on. Yeah, you budget the $15,000 for a furnace. You don't budget 30 and think, well, maybe we might need a furnace. This is actual, somebody can put a finger on stuff that needs to be done and put a finger on a price to fix those things that need to be done. It's not hard to do. We all do it, I'm sure, in our own households. I know what windows need to be replaced and how much they're going to cost, and I'm going to budget for that. This isn't budgeting. This is just throwing numbers up in the air as a just in case, or what if Irene hits? What if a roof blows off? If a roof blows off, that's why we have insurance.
Well, presumably that's why we have an emergency reserve fund too, but that we asked last year.
We did discuss several things we could do, but there's nothing that was in solid number, whether we paint the North Westminster building, but Susan's right, it's not next year, it's the year after, basically, so it's a ways off. It is hard. Some of that money originally from last year, we were going to spend on the town garage but Chuck ended up doing a lot of the work himself that we thought we were going to contract out. He's done the same this year. We're looking at it about raising part of the roof, doing this. He seems to like to do more stuff than what we had in the past himself to do the repairs. So he doesn't have as much expense as I thought we were going to have into fixing up the town garage every year. So, but yeah, you're right. I don't know where you're looking at exact. We just know that we've had projects here. And it is hard to get something to get done in time too.
And that's great. But if Chuck's saying, "Oh no, we can do this," take it out of the budget then.
Yeah.
Have the discussion. Know what you're going to have Chuck do, know what you're not, and know what you're not's going to do is going to cost, and put that cost into the budget.
But like I said, when we put the 20,000 in last year, it was from the year before when we were doing the budget. We didn't know,
So where are we at year to date in that line item? How much have we expended out of the 20,000 for FY21?
Good question. I don't have it in front of me. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, Nate. I'm listening.
I'm sorry. I'm just frustrated with there's constantly this massive surplus. And then with surpluses, I see that we're not following purchasing policies. It's just questioning where the money is all the time again.
To answer your question, it's $2,662.62
So
in
it's
that
no
one line item.
So we have 1 quarter to go.
No.
2 quarters to go. We have a half a year to go.
We have 7 months to go.
Okay, and we've spent 1/10 of the 20,000. We're gonna do a lot of work the next 5 months then. That's good. It's cold winter. Somebody's gotta work.
Do we have any more items on the budget?
We do not.
We can come back to that, I guess.
One last quick question.
Yep, go ahead.
When, I gotta find it.
All right.
Hi, Kitty.
Equipment tractor / mower. Is that the new Kubota, or when was that purchased?
It is that tractor / mower number 10. Yes.
That's the Kubota with the mower and the blower on the back of it?
Yep, that's correct.
When was that purchased?
$2018.
Thank you.
Okay, with any luck, I think at the next meeting, we have to finalize a budget at the next meeting. Yes?
Hopefully, or you go into another meeting, the 23rd of December.
But by the end of the year, we have to finalize the budget.
It's helpful to be able to do it before you break for Christmas. Yes.
All right. Finance meeting with auditor minutes. Let me find it. Here we go. So a couple of weeks ago, we met, meaning, well, I was there, but the people who deal with the finances in the town hall met with Chad Hewitt from the auditors, Sullivan and Powers. And we sat down and Chad sort of led the meeting and asked each of the officials and employees to describe exactly what they did. And he went through first with payables and asked for the process of how each item was handled and who looked at it and who did what. And he also went through the payroll, and he also went through revenue. We have minutes in more detail, and Ross can send you a copy if you want it. But essentially, Chad was happy with the controls in the process. He had several recommendations, which we're taking into account. One was that each employee and official would write down essentially a description of exactly what they do. So when if the next person came in to the process, they would essentially have a document, a book that would show them exactly what has been done. I think that's an excellent idea. A couple of other things. He asked about payroll and the timesheets and who looked at them and who initialed them. Essentially, Chuck has to put his initials down when he looks at them. And also Kelley Thayer, because she collects taxes when you're not there, Russ, essentially, she legally has to be named an assistant treasurer. It does not mean that she will not be signing checks. That just gives her the power to take in taxes when, say, Russ isn't there. So we're going to do that at this meeting. Anyway, it was very useful to me to find out exactly the whole process and who did what and how we can improve things. And anyway, I was very happy with the meeting.
It looked like Kevin wanted to say something.
So go ahead, Toby.
No, Kevin wants to say something.
Oh, okay,
I'm sorry, Toby. Again, I apologize for not being there. I had to work, and really thank you. It's really comprehensive and wonderful. One thing that did stick out to me, and again, there's nothing wrong with a little laughter in times like these. The construct of a financial cookbook. I mean, we never use the words cooking the book. Around finance.
I didn't say that. I said document.
Okay, that's okay. I would propose, obviously, we use financial controls manual would be better. We have had that discussion, and Madam Chair, like I said, and again, just to the rest of the board, I'll be very happy to be a part of that and look to seek a committee to actually create that, because the recommendations are excellent. It is what we do every day. And it certainly not only creates efficiencies, but it creates a financial control. And while, just to finish it up, there's a lot that goes with that too, including obviously a code of ethics, which we all know about, but it's important, and having that put in writing and then having it reviewed by a disinterested third party is very important. So I'd be happy to work on that, Madam Chair. And the rest with anyone who wants to.
Yeah, that would be terrific. Go ahead if anybody else would like to help.
Toby, I apologize.
Pardon?
I was apologizing to Toby. I think I interrupted her.
No, I was just noticing that you wanted to be talking. So that's what I was saying. You didn't interrupt me.
Okay. It's a courtesy thing. And if, yeah, that would be great. Go ahead, Kevin. If you need someone else, I'll be happy to be on the committee. I'm not as knowledgeable as you are, but if you need help, I'd be happy to help you for sure.
Terrific. I'll reach out to you on email.
Thank you.
Hey, Susan, it's Cynthia. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm curious if during the discussion if he brought up, like, who is responsible for just interpreting the financial statements, what you have for fund balances in your designated funds, how the function of moving money between those funds? Because, I mean, I agree, I've never really had too much of an issue with your day-to-day operation and your controls and making sure that the duties are segregated. I mean, I've always felt like that was an area that was, I mean, just like any office, it's a small office and you do your best to segregate duties. But to me, the bigger picture financial stuff is where you're lacking the capacity. So I'm curious if that came up or if he didn't notice that because things were done at the end of the year at the audit time, or, and I'm talking like journal entry. I see nothing about the general ledger, which is where all of this information dumps into, and someone has to oversee that.
There was some discussion of the but my accounting expertise is Zippo, but there was discussion of the general ledger, but I can't remember where that came in. Do you have a copy of the minutes from the
I do.
meeting?
I'm looking at them right
okay.
now.
Yeah. All right.
I mean,
well,
that's been really, when I've come to town meeting or when other people have asked questions, that seems to be where most of the kind of bone of contention is between all of us. Like, we ask a question and we feel like we're not quite sure what the fund balances are and have things been. So I just feel like that's the area that needs a little bit more focus. And it was not in the minutes anywhere that was a discussion. So I don't know if you're going to have another discussion with him and maybe he can.
Yeah, we left that open and we asked him and he said he would be happy to come back and help us address it more. So maybe what that can happen is Kevin and I can sit down and figure out what, with input, what else we'll need to ask Chad to come and talk with us about.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if Russ mentioned it to you guys, but Darlene Kelley is working for NIMRIC now, and she's going to start doing the kind of remote work that Penny's been doing. Penny's our main phone answerer, so she's going to, so whatever she can do, if there's something in that arena that would help with that, just make sure that's expressed to her so that she knows that's one of the things that you guys want her to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. This is the person who actually did the interview, right?
Yeah, that's her.
Sorry,
Okay.
I took her.
Okay, great. So, yeah, she's terrific. Terrific. So if she can be part of it, that'd be great.
Yeah, we certainly can as an organization, NIMRIC can do that. I think that's probably the next step in this. And what I'm saying is that if you want to continue with that with NIMRIC, that's fine. If you find somebody else that, you want to work with as a consultant, whatever, I'm not trying to sell NIMRIC. I'm just saying that is the piece that has been the biggest issue for me, not this other stuff that you guys went over. Although I know you needed to go over that. It's great information and it gave you guys a good picture and he gave some really good advice. It's just not where most of our, for lack of better terminology, most of our arguments come from when we're talking about the accounting and the financial stuff. So
Greatly appreciated.
She'd be a great asset. She is a great asset to us. I mean, at NIMRIC, we're happy to have her, but I think it would be a good relationship to have her help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No issue over conflict. The issue is transparency, which I think is what you're alluding to too, as far as where the money is, how much is there, what it's supposed to be doing, is it properly allocated, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I don't know her other than what Toby and I were able to just with all the interviews I've done in my life. I mean, she seemed terrific. The objective here is to plot a solution that allays these very valid concerns that you've consistently brought up. I'm speaking for myself, not for everybody here, but that's I think what we're trying to get to. So okay. I'm absolutely 1,000% for that, 1,000%.
Okay, thank you.
So Kevin, and you and I can get together and maybe with Darlene, or we can set up a time to meet with Darlene and whoever else needs to, with a list of questions or things we need to address.
Terrific. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. All right. Ready to move on to new business? Title change for Kelley Thayer. That just requires a motion to appoint Kelley as the assistant treasurer so that she can collect taxes. Russ, am I correct?
That's correct.
So I'll entertain a motion.
I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded to appoint Kelley Thayer as assistant treasurer for the purpose of collecting taxes. Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? She has a title. North Westminster Community House. That would be you, Craig.
Yes, this committee is pushing me more than anything else. I can't believe how much help I've gotten, and I'll take the credit, but they did all the work. What we're trying to do, obviously, is to look at this building, what we can do with it. So we came up with the idea that we'd like to reach out to all the Westminster people, as many as we can. So we looked at, obviously, the number one thing would be to somehow put it on our town page so you could go there and look at it and fill out a survey. So what we want to do is send out, which would be, a lot of people don't even know what it looks like. So first would be a picture of what the building looks like, a little bit of the history of it and the activities that will go on, and then what we want to do with it in the future. And that's where we would ask for their input. 2 different surveys. One would go out to groups that wanted to actually use the building and what they could use it for. And one would be, the other survey would be to the public of people in the town, what they think they would like to see the building used for. That makes sense. So we discussed it. I think we'd like to get something obviously in the Gazette and then somehow put it on a tab on our Westminster homepage. So you could go there, you could look at pictures of it, you could read this. And I don't know, I guess the question is, how much would it cost if we were to do a mail-in and actually mail some of this out to some of the residents in town? We're trying to figure that out, I guess, is where I'm coming from on it. Plus, when we go to do something like that, do we have bulk mailing event? And what does it normally cost for us to mail an envelope with probably 4 pieces of paper in it?
You're asking me?
Yeah, just a ballpark.
I'm sorry, I missed that first part. The only useful tool that we have done recently was the last tax bills, and that's about a $2,500, $3,000 endeavor with the envelope, the paper, printer, and postage. So that's what you're looking at, is probably in the $2,500 range.
Well, would it have to go to everybody in Westminster? Because that's the local,
That's a good question. And I think we're having that discussion. One of the discussions is obviously reach as many people as we can through email, because that's obviously a lot less. And Russell, who's on this, is very good at things like that. John Jones is married. All the 4 of them have been tremendous help. A lot of correspondence going back and forth on what we can do. And they're very enthusiastic about trying to find something to do with this building. I would say between our homepage, the Westminster Gazette, and email, I think we would start there and then try to narrow it down to what we have left for people that we can't reach, and come back to the board with a number that we think we would send a mail-in out, if that makes sense on it. I guess
If the survey wasn't quite so long, Craig, we could put it in the Gazette where, like we did before, it was a cutout.
Yeah, we could do that. Let me think about that. Only thing was, I was thinking in the Gazette to direct them to where they could fill it out, which would be the home page, Or also in the thing would be to ask for a request. Could we put a box in there where they could actually, I'm trying to figure out how they would respond the easiest way to get the survey mailed to them. You see what I'm saying?
They're going to do it electronically. Electronically would be the easiest to receive.
Yeah. So I guess I'm reaching out to you because one is even if we fill the survey and send it out, it's got to come back to some place. It's got to have an address, someplace where you're sending it back so we responding, whether it's email or electronic or the post office. And I guess I'm reaching out to you first is, can we use an address that we could put on the survey? And then second is to try to figure out how to direct them to our homepage and have something on the homepage they can fill out on it. But you're thinking on the Westminster Gazette, if we could put an article in it where they would know that they could either contact somebody in the different ways of contacting could be a phone number, a mail-in address, and an email address.
Yep. And all should come back here so that you can gather them all and give them to the committee.
Okay.
I would assume.
So
You don't
I'm
want-
looking for just to go ahead, if they don't mind, that I would meet with you and we'd kind of go over it as a select, and the select board knows what we're going on. And I think what I would ask them for tonight doesn't really cost anything. It's when we get to the mail-in, we'll have to figure that out if we want to send a mail-in out and how many people we would actually send it to.
One other thing, I was going to talk about this later, but we hope to have our Facebook page up and going. I mean, and when you're talking about people don't know what it looks like, Yvette Hendler, who's on the social media committee, she did a nice cover photo for the Facebook page that includes the town hall, the Westminster Community House, and the North Westminster Community House. So you can actually see it. And we're kind of all ready to go. I wanted to show it to you guys, but I have to show you in person to see what it looks like. But anyway, that's a little tangential, but we can use, that would be definitely a good use for it, letting people know.
That would be a help. I think we will try to organize exactly what we're going to ask and exactly what we're going to send out, and then we'll have to sit and figure it out. But I think that was the first thing we said is where are we returning this to? And my feeling it should go back to the Russell's department at the town hall somewhere. So somebody mails it in or responds, we keep track of it. So
That makes sense to me.
okay. I'm really kind of excited about what these people want to do.
Excuse me?
Who's that?
Hello?
Hello?
This is
Who is
Yvette. Yvette?
Oh, Yvette. Yes. Hi. Yvette Hendler. Yep. Go ahead.
You could also just email them that picture so that they don't have to wait to see what the picture looks like.
So when we send emails out to people, it would include a picture of the building. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And I mean, I could even give you just the picture of the North Westminster building alone. I mean, I only sent you the montage, but I had each building separately as well.
Yeah, that's great. Send that to you, Craig, right? You would.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking that, I don't know if we got any pictures of the inside. Even a lot of people in town have never been inside that building or anything. So
Well, I would be willing to take pictures, but I didn't go inside because I think I would have been trespassing and I don't want to get in trouble.
No, I can help you. We can make that arrangement. I appreciate it very much. Okay.
All right.
I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, that's great, Craig. I'm glad you have a lot of interest, and boy, that's.
That really is. It's I just can't believe the emails are going back and forth. And what's really impressive, most of these were all new people in town that really want to get involved and do the right thing for the town. Is kind of exciting dealing with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
great. Thank you for that. Anything else about that, Craig?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Yep. Manager's report.
A couple brief things. We did get reimbursed for the guardrail accident that happened on Westminster West Road. Their insurance company did pay the whole complete bill. We also received a hazardous mitigation plan grant this past week for $7,612.50. That'll help us update our plan. We are also working on a grants and aid allowance for Quarry Road for next year. We are not sure how that's going to look with the state funding, but we're going to move forward and assuming that they're going to come up with it somehow, some way. So I have a meeting on December 2nd at 1 o'clock with Windham Regional and VTrans to go over that. And last but not least, we've got a $7,048 grant that they're verifying the amounts as we speak for COVID-19 extra expenses, which covers our cleaning of the town hall and our cleaning supplies for the road crew and for the town hall.
Thank you for that, Russ. Boards and commissions.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Okay. Other business? I was just going to give a short thing about the social media committee, but I guess I said most of it, that Yvette and Fran Renault and Lori Lou and I have met a couple times to set up the Facebook page and put in the information. And as I said, Yvette did a great photo. So I just somehow I have to, because I'm in the administrator at this point, I have to show you from my computer what it looks like. So maybe at the next meeting, you can look at it and say, fine, and we can get going. And along those lines, do we know anything more about the luminaries, Sheldon?
You do 50 bags with 1 bag of sand.
Say that again?
You can do 50 bags with 1 tube of sand.
Yeah.
And the bags are here. Doreen hasn't got the candles in here yet, I don't think, but Timmy Allen's wife donated, or Allen Brothers donated the bags for him. We still have some bags left over from last year, so.
So what's going to happen with the setup? Do we have a schedule for when how they're going to be filled?
No, that's what that's why I was working to find out how many, if people volunteered to do them, let's say in their home, then if they took 100 bags home, we know it would take two tubes of sand, or they'd have to take 2 tubes of sand to fill 100 bags. There are some, I've been thinking about some different ways to, I'm really kind of gun shy about, doing this whole thing at the fire station as we have in the past. Doreen doesn't think it's any big deal, that there shouldn't be any problem doing it that way, but I'm not real crazy about that idea. So I think we really ought to try to come up with, even if we could come up with doing 500 or 600 or half of them, and privately, or get townspeople to help out with them, would lessen the chance of this COVID problem with doing the luminaries.
So do you see people calling up someone, and you or Russ, and saying, I can do 50, and then they would come and get the bags and the sand, and then on Christmas Eve, they would bring the bags down and put them out? Or
that is a possibility, or I have enough room at my shop that I could probably put 1,000 bags of sand on the cement floor there. And what I'd like to do is try to get them done, or start getting them done sooner rather than later, so that we're not doing this on the 23rd or the 24th, that we've got a lot of them done by then. And Russ and I had talked a little bit about it at the last meeting, different aspects of how we could go about it. So.
yeah, well, when you decide, see if we can get the word out there. We were thinking that might be one of the first Facebook posts we'd put up, and
yep.
Try to get the word.
Yep. I'm sorry. I thought he was finished.
Oh, go ahead.
It's Alice Cadrano. While we have Shell here, could I ask if people want to send a monetary donation, where we should send it? I used to send them to Diane Bazin, but I don't know where to do it now.
Sheldon?
I would say to the Activities Commission, or to the Town Hall, care of the Activities Committee.
That'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
It's Millie. Can I?
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Kelly.
So I thought it might be nice to put it in the minutes about who to contact. You don't want to put that in here yet. If you want to fill bags.
Yeah, do you guys have a?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
It might be nice to put it in the minutes, who to contact if you want to fill bags.
Now put your name down.
No, thank you.
Either me or Russ, I think at this point.
Talking about.
Russ, you want to take that on? Seems like Russ has got a lot to do.
I can answer the phone. It's not a problem.
So call
How many
Russ.
bags?
Go ahead, sorry.
How many bags are we talking about?
How many bags? We did 1,200 last year. And they really kind of wanted to do more this year, so.
And where are these bags placed? Are they only along Route 5?
They're on both sides of Route 5 and on School Street and some on Grout Avenue, the night of Christmas Eve. They start at the top of Courthouse Hill. They go the whole distance of Westminster Village down to Pete Harrison's house. They go from the fire station to Route 5, and they go from just beyond the school to Route 5. Both sides of the road.
I mean, 50 bags for like one family to do wouldn't be unreasonable, right?
No, neither would 100, I don't think. As I said, it didn't take me.
Even
My
100,
wife
I mean,
did the 50, and it didn't really take all that long.
I think there'd be.
you're not talking about that many people, so I think we could do it remotely and put them out, right?
I think you would find plenty of volunteers. I'm just thinking about the process. So people who want to fill bags, they would call Russ or Sheldon, but probably Russ. Are you answering your phone, Sheldon?
Of course I'm answering my phone.
Okay.
That's not true. No, I'd rather have it be me. No, he's not. No, sorry.
Okay.
She's volunteering.
Yeah, I'll volunteer because we just know. I'm not saying bad things. I'm just being realistic here.
Okay. Call Russ Hodgkins or Millie Berry. They will somehow they'll tell you where the bags in the sand, where you can pick them up. You take them to your house, you fill them, you take them to Sheldon's shop, Christmas, whenever.
Well, I have the bags and I have the sand, so it's kind of, you're kind of bouncing around here a little bit, but.
So I'm just trying to figure out the process, that's all.
Sheldon, would it help if I donated a tractor trailer? Because if that way you could put a whole bunch of bags in the back of the tractor trailer, then when you just drive down through the main drive and just unload them as you go along.
Greg, this is Millie. That would be lovely. I already know.
Yeah, and I'm concerned about getting.
Are we talking about a covered tractor trailer?
Yeah, it'd be a van trailer, so if it rained or something, so I could park it someplace where people, could put them in as they wanted to. Then when it was all loaded, it would be out of the weather. And then when you get ready to go do it, just hook onto it and drive
Yeah,
along.
we might be able, I could talk to Cole, maybe we could leave it parked at the fire station and.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
out back the post office.
Okay, Yvette had a question. Yvette, go ahead.
Well, I'm concerned about getting the information out sooner rather than later, because then you could give people a chance to work this into their schedule. Because, maybe somebody wants to spread it out over a few days. Yeah. And maybe we want to move up getting the Facebook page live instead of waiting until the next meeting, because I don't know that there's really a reason to wait, but you could use this as a way to go live with it.
Do you select board want to see the Facebook page before we go live?
I trust you.
Yeah.
there's really not a lot to see.
No,
right?
there's not pretty basic. So if you want to, I'll bring you, I mean, can't remember what my password is, so I'd have to bring my computer around and show you, and I'm happy to do that. Take 5 minutes. You can look at it and say aye, yes, or no. And, hearing nothing, we'll just do.
I feel like
Okay.
it's silly to wait because it's a useful tool, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I gotcha. I'm not hearing anybody saying, show it to me first, so we're going to do it.
Okay.
Okay, good. Any other business? Date of the next meeting is December 9th, and I think, Russ, you had something to say about maybe we can have it at the fire department. You've looked into the state.
So this meeting was in the quandary of the governor really putting his foot down about in-person Thanksgiving meals and meetings. After December 1st, he is supposed to go back to that essential meetings can happen as long as everyone has 100 square feet of space. So that is more than the 6 feet of spacing. It's more like it's 10 by 10, literally.
Why wouldn't we continue with the Zoom?
You can, but some of you folks need to be in person. So my thought is that whomever wants to be on Zoom is on Zoom, and the others are in person if they so choose. So it is an option. It's up in the air. We don't know for sure, but hopefully by the second, I'll have that answer, and I will share it with you to whether you can or can't, and then you guys can decide what you want to do.
Okay, sounds like a plan. But we do know the next meeting is going to be December 9th at 6:30 somewhere, so we're good.
Okay.
Motion to
We
adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, the meeting